Picture this. You're in the middle of a project. Everything seems to be running smoothly. And then, bam! Someone you barely spoke to before swoops in with a last-minute concern that turns everything upside down. Sounds familiar, right? Welcome to chaos, also known as working with stakeholders. Managing stakeholders sometimes resembles directing a reality show, full of unexpected plot twists, hidden alliances, and an occasional drama queen. But get it right, and the show will never be canceled. So how do you do the trick? Let's break it down and turn stakeholder management into your superpower. As a business analyst or project manager, you better build and maintain effective relationships with stakeholders. To nail it, you have to create a communication strategy so that you inform, involve, or influence the right people at the right time in the right way. You're building this strategy through several stages. Start by figuring out who your stakeholders are. Next, gather information to understand their viewpoints and sort them according to how much they care about and can influence your project. All that done, you'll be able to devise a plan for how you'll talk to each group, what you'll tell them, and how often you'll touch base. But let's dive deeper into each step. So, the first thing you do is make a list of all your stakeholders. And here's the catch. Many people assume stakeholders are your company's clients, but that's not entirely true. To be more precise, a stakeholder is anyone who has an interest in your project, or can somehow impact it. They come in all shapes and sizes, but generally fall into two main categories: internal and external. Internal stakeholders are, obviously, the people inside your organization. Those include executives and decision makers, team members, employees from other departments like marketing or finance, and so on. All of them can impact the project in one way or another. External stakeholders, on the contrary, are the folks outside your organization. They might not be in your daily meetings, but they can definitely shake things up. And again, it's not only about customers and investors. This group also includes end users, business partners, competitors, and even regulators and government bodies. Hello, compliance. That's quite a crowd to manage, isn't it? Well, easier said than done, given that each stakeholder has different expectations, priorities, and interests that won't always align. To untangle this web, you need stakeholder analysis. So, you have your long list of different stakeholders. Next up, get your detective hat on and do some sleuthing about these folks. You want to figure out their level of influence, their interests concerning the project, and how they feel about it. Ideally, you'd learn everything about everyone, but let's be realistic, time and resources are limited. So concentrate your efforts on the key players in your project's success. And while stalking might seem like a viable option, let's stick to less creepy and more professional methods, shall we? Here are a few detective-approved methods. Interviews. A good old one-on-one chat is the best way to find out a ton about people's attitudes toward your project. But again, you can't speak to every single stakeholder, so focus these sessions on the main figures, say executives, clients, and team members. Schedule a formal sit-down with the big guys or have a casual coffee break with someone in your league. As you speak, spotlight key questions. For example, you can ask, what are their main objectives for this project? What does success look like from their perspective? Do they foresee any challenges or risks? How hands-on do they want to be? And what's the best way to keep them informed? Their answers will help you understand who's enthusiastic and who's skeptical, what their priorities and business goals are, plus it gives you a sense of their communication style, whether they prefer detailed reports, high-level summaries, or just occasional check-ins. Later on, it will help you define your interaction strategy with these folks. Surveys. To cover a broader stakeholder group, send out a quick survey. This is a speedy way to collect thoughts and opinions from a larger group, especially those who might not be up for a chat. Think end users or secondary stakeholders, the ones who may not have the final say but still influence the project's outcome. You might want to tailor your survey to stakeholder types, but generally, the questions would be similar to those of an interview. Your goal is to define their level of support, their concerns, and how involved they want to be. Research and observation. An indirect way of collecting information is by diving into public information sources. Yes, Googling people is legal, so be sure to go for it. And sometimes, you just need to sit back and observe. If that's possible, watch how your stakeholders behave at public events, interact with others, or which issues they raise. For example, if a stakeholder consistently advocates for innovation, they might be a strong ally for a digital transformation project. On the other hand, if they frequently raise budget concerns, they might require more convincing before approving additional resources. Even company reports and past project feedback can offer useful clues. All these insights into their interests, level of authority, and personality in general will then help you build the right communication strategy. Okay, so you've got all this juicy info. Now, you can piece together a detailed picture of who's who in your project's realm. If you put them together in a table, you can get something like this. Yeah, it might be quite a long table. Probably need some optimization to make it usable. So, the second part of stakeholder analysis is mapping. And the most popular way to do it is with a power interest matrix. Make a simple grid. Put power or influence on one axis and interest on the other. Now, stakeholders with high interest and high influence are your VIPs. That's where customers and investors typically sit. They need the red carpet treatment because they can make or break your project. Sometimes you can also put end users in that celebrity segment, as they typically have high interest. As for their impact, well, if they shape public perception, drive adoption, and give valuable feedback, their influence can be higher than you think. So, be sure to spare them enough attention so that you create advocates and not opponents. If you believe your end users aren't that impactful, you can classify them as regulars. This group has either high interest or high influence, but not both. Your team members and executives are also here. They need regular updates and some schmoozing to keep them happy. Last, the occasional guests. Those with lower interest and influence, such as employees from other departments or media. Another approach is the RACI matrix. It helps illustrate who does what in the project. RACI stands for responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. Here, you make a table with all your main stakeholders and the key project tasks or processes, and then distribute the RAC and I designations. Responsible goes to the doers, the ones who actually complete the tasks. Accountable is usually the person who makes sure the task is completed successfully. They get the final say and the final blame. Consulted are your go-to experts. Before any major decision, you'd chat with them to get their input. And informed are those who just need to be kept in the loop. They don't have a direct role in the action, but they need to know what's going on. There are other ways to map your stakeholders, such as the knowledge-based chart or the salience model. Whatever approach you choose, you'll be able to define the key stakeholder categories. The next thing to do is plan your interactions. Creating an engagement plan means deciding how you'll reach out to each type of stakeholder based on what you learned about them. You also have to decide the frequency and scope of your interactions. Use the categorization we just went through as a guide. For example, you did that power interest matrix. You know that your customer sitting in the VIP top right sector wants to be closely involved and actively participating. In this case, opt for frequent personalized touchpoints, say weekly face-to-face meetings. But there's no single best approach. You must listen to what your stakeholders expect and adapt to your strategy. Like for a client who doesn't want to be immersed in every detail, keep the updates concise and periodic, like monthly email summaries to keep them informed. In any case, that's the group whose support is crucial, so spare no effort. Now, the low influence, high interest category. Remember, they are good allies to have, so do your best to maintain their interest. Say, for team members who are integral to daily operations, plan regular and structured interactions such as daily stand-ups and weekly progress meetings. This ensures everyone is on the same page and can voice concerns or share updates in real time. Executives, who are often of the high-impact, low-interest type, usually have too much on their plates, so scheduled updates and occasional check-ins might do the trick. These can be through emails or quick sync-up calls, just enough to keep them in the loop without overwhelming them with information. Think of this group as a sleeping giant. While their interest is low, their impact is minimal, but if anything changes, they have the power to really shake things up. And for those with less direct involvement or low interest, a broad communication approach works well. Think newsletters or general announcements. The same can be done with the RACI categories. Engage your responsible stakeholders frequently with updates and clear tasks. For those who are accountable, ensure they receive all the essential information for making decisions. When expert insight is needed, bring in your consulted group for their advice. And for the informed folks, update with regular briefs. At the end, your plan should map out when and how you'll communicate with each type of stakeholder. Make sure it covers what you say and what you hope to achieve with each interaction. Also, think of how you present the information. Keep an eye out for any touchy subjects or tricky issues you'll need to tiptoe around or tackle with care. You might also want to assign some interactions to other team members, like having your marketing guru connect with end users. Whatever the case, you got the drill. The idea is to keep everyone informed to the right degree, so they feel valued and connected to the project's progress without feeling spammed. Finally, we came to the fun part, actually managing stakeholders. You might feel like you're walking on a tightrope as you try to maintain your balance between parties and juggle diverse expectations. But hey, ease up a bit. We got a plan, right? That's half the battle. And here are a few more pieces of advice to help you hit a home run. First, stick to your engagement plan. If you did your research well, you must have an incisive approach that suits each stakeholder's style. Reassess your stakeholders once in a while, and adapt your interactions to any changes in their preferences, interests, or priorities. You must listen carefully to what each party is saying and detect the possible misalignment. Set realistic expectations from the start, create a detailed plan, and get it approved by all the key stakeholders. Build bridges. Explain the customer's business perspective to the dev team. At the same time, convince the client that the team has enough expertise to express opinions worth paying attention to. Sometimes, you'll have to act as a translator for your stakeholders. Your job is to have everyone on the same page. So, decode geek speak for the customers and translate profit and loss lingo for the developers. Another trick you can use is accepting ideas without rejection. Here's an example. Let's say a customer suggests adding unplanned features in the next sprint. You know there's no way you can make it in time. But still, it might not be a good idea to just dismiss the suggestion out of hand. Instead, try to look for an alternative. It might be saying, "These features sound great. How about we roll them out in stages? We can start with the essentials for now and then add updates in the next release, so that we keep our timeline and still get all the goodies." This way, nobody feels bad that their ideas are turned down. One more way to build trust is through clear and transparent reporting. Your plan may align everyone in the beginning, but without regular updates, expectations can drift. And besides, things never go exactly as planned. So you'd better keep everyone informed about what's going on to prevent frustration. The pro level of stakeholder management is being proactive. Try to anticipate the needs and concerns before they become real issues. But what if you miss a signal and conflict is already in the air? Address the issue head-on instead of letting frustrations simmer. Acknowledge the stakeholders' concerns, provide clear reasoning, and most importantly, offer solutions, not excuses. If the client is upset that a feature isn't ready, show them the trade-offs in time or quality and suggest a feasible compromise. If your team is burning out because of shifting priorities, help the client understand the risks of last-minute changes. Well, nobody said it's going to be a walk in the park. Stakeholder management is definitely not for the faint of heart. There might be moments when it feels like you're juggling knives, teetering on the edge of sanity. Yet, the key to keeping your balance lies in being empathetic, transparent, and flexible. Let us know in the comments below what your best tricks for managing those conflicting demands are. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Let's keep the conversation going.